That's awesome. All right. So now, next, we have Joel Boggess coming up. Give it up for Joel over here. Joel came all the way from Texas to be here, by the way, which is absolutely amazing. And he's going to talk about the 5 reasons that every business should have a podcast, because they should. Joel?
Success Magazine, USA Today, The Wall Street Journal. They are all reporting on podcasting because they have realized that podcasting isn't just a wave of the future. It's also the wave to the future. And to be relevant in the future, you have to give your audience 3 things: convenient, consistent content. And when you do your show right, you have all 3 C's working to your benefit. Why does your business need a podcast? Because podcasting is no longer the fringe media that it once was. It is now mainstream. And as a benefit, maybe an added bonus, the lion's share of the population, about 8 to 10 people, still view that as new media. So, podcasting is your opportunity to get in early and to be part of the new mainstream. Everyone in here has a cell phone, so go ahead and raise your hand and keep it up. Raise your hand, up, up, up. Everyone, real quick. If you have a cell phone, raise your hand. Fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, why does your business need a podcast? Look around the room. Every single person in here could be your next subscriber, your next fan, and some of them will even be your next customer. Thank you. You can put your hands down. Now imagine if I did that same demonstration, but we weren't sitting here. We were sitting in a theater, in a banquet hall, in a stadium. And I did the same demonstration with the hands. Are you beginning to see some of the opportunities? Because that opportunity is the second reason that you should have a podcast, that your business should have a podcast. And that is that today, virtually everyone has the availability to listen to your show. And here's another bonus, regardless of their device. Yeah. iPhone, covered. Android, covered. Windows phones, covered. They all have podcast software now natively embedded in their phones, which is good news for the phone manufacturers, but it's great news for you and me, the podcasters. Why should your business have a podcast? Widespread availability. We live in a podcast content heavy environment. And you know what? I'll be honest with you. It's a challenge, or at least it could be, for any business to rise above the noise. So how do you do it? Well, it'll certainly take a little bit of effort on your part, but you know what? It's not as difficult as you might think it is. And here's why. While everyone has access to a podcast, very few entrepreneurs and business owners will actually launch a podcast. But when you do, and you do it right, what you'll see is that your visibility will start to climb. And instead of being pushed around in a crowded marketplace, like most of your competitors, your show and the value that you bring to it will help you and your business to become seen, heard, and recognized. And those are the 3 market movers right there. Why does your business need a podcast? Expanded visibility. I worked with a coach once. He was a wise man, and I was the eager student. And because I'm the poster boy for ADHD, no kidding, I am, I would often hit him up with a broad spectrum of questions. I'd hit him up on random days at random hours. And you know what he did, that rascal? Instead of investing his time in writing out a long, detailed email in response, he actually referred me to his podcast episode that had the answer that I was looking for. And you know what? That was brilliant for at least two reasons. Number one, he didn't invest any more of his time and his bandwidth in my craziness, which was brilliant for him. And then also, I learned a very powerful lesson about authority. And I also learned who had the authority in our relationship. And I also learned how to be seen as a person with authority. Why should your business have a podcast? Because your show will set you up as the authority. And when you establish yourself that way, well, guess what happens? Your audience sees you that way. While authority is valuable, here's something that's priceless. Audience loyalty. Everyone prays for loyalty. Entrepreneurs, entertainers, family, friends. But very few people are willing to put in the work that's necessary to earn that loyalty. But since you are, here are the 3 keys to audience loyalty. And actually, these are the 3 keys to loyalty in any relationship. Keep the promises that you make to your audience. Communicate authentically with your audience. And be a problem solver for your audience. Because really, isn't that all that anyone ever asks of us? Keep the promises, to be authentic, and to help us with a challenge every now and then. The rallying cry of last year has kind of spilled over, and it can still be heard in the ears of this year. And you've probably heard this statement before. It's one sentence. I've got to monetize my podcast. I've got to monetize my podcast. I've got to monetize my podcast. We have heard that more times than we need to. But here's what I want to encourage you to do today. I want to encourage you to take the information that you're getting today and tomorrow from some of the speakers and some of your peers here in the audience and use that information to build a rock-solid show first. And what you'll find is what a lot of the speakers have already found and a lot of the people in the audience have already found, and that it is that the business opportunities to speak, to coach, to consult will actually end up finding you because of your show. Thank you.
Great job. Thank you so much. I'm sorry?
Do we have time for a question?
Do we have time for a question? All right, one question. There you go. Nobody got questions?
Yes, sir.
I just lost on Tuesday. Lost it Monday.
Congratulations. Awesome.
Woo!
What's your show called?
Live the fuel.
Live the Fuel.
Fuel your health, business, and lifestyle.
Live the Fuel. Look it up. Subscribe, rate, review. I'm sure he'll appreciate it.
Find out to your point. You said build your rock solid show first.
Yes.
So do you actually try and assign a timeline to that? Or it's just, focus on that quality, focus on that authenticity, and then let everything else happen naturally?
Yeah, that is a great question. I do set a timeline. Nothing gets accomplished without a timeline. So when I was launching Relaunch, by the way, that's not my first show. If you count up all the shows that I've done myself with my wife and together as a couple, Relaunch is actually my 9th show. So I've done this for a while. But when I did Relaunch, I gave myself about a 6-week time frame to launch the show. So if you're in a process right now of either launching or relaunching, your show, give yourself that 4 to 6 week ramp to your launch. That's what I recommend. And then on top of that, then you can build that rock solid show for the first 3 months once you're already live. If you miss that window, that's okay. You can always relaunch your show. And building on what Ramona said, you can pivot. You don't need to throw the baby out with the bathwater. Thank you for the question.
Mm-hmm. Woo! Give it up for Joel. Yeah. It's awesome, man. You can just turn it off and throw it over.